Painting is the art of using colors to describe form, express ideas, feelings, and moods. There are different types of paints or painting media. We have tempera colors. These are colors mainly found in powder form, but can sometimes be found already mixed in liquid form. They tend to be opaque, and if bound with water and used in thick solution, they will flake off from the painting surface. Watercolors are available in a tablet, usually cakes, and in tubes or in pigment forms, in bottles. They are very expensive as they are derived from natural materials. Watercolors require a special watercolor paper so that they absorb the water while painting, as they are usually mixed or thinned with water. Gouache colors are thick, water-based colors found in tubes or in bottles and are popular with designers because they are bold, strong, brilliant, and opaque enough for design work. Poster colors are water-based and they're usually found in bottles already mixed. They're used for painting posters because they are bold, brilliant, and opaque. Oil colors are high-quality pigments which have specially been blended with oil. They're derived from natural sources and mixed with linseed oil. Oil colors need a solvent like white spirit or turpentine to dissolve them. They take a considerable time to dry up, and it's important to allow enough time for each layer before applying the next layer on top. They have a rich, translucent, beautiful quality when used properly. However, they tend to yellow or fade after time and crack also. Acrylic colors are synthetic colors which are usually much easier to use than oil paints. Unlike oil paints, they dry very rapidly and don't have a harsh smell, and most artists prefer using them. They need water as a solvent, and once dry, they are permanent. Some of the painting tools include brushes, palette knife, a palette for mixing painting, jar or container for pouring or mixing water or turpentine in, and paper towel. Some of the materials needed include supports. A support is any solid, durable, and stable surface onto which paint is applied to. There are different types. We have wood, cloth, paper, and different cardboards. Preparing grounds for painting. Before a ground is used for painting surfaces, it must be prepared. Fabrics must be stretched and primed before paint can be applied, and wooden panels or frames must be primed. Stretching canvas. The fabric must be cut to a specific size, and an allowance of at least 5 centimeters should be left on all sides. A wooden frame should be well seasoned so that it does not bend afterwards, is placed on top. The fabric should then be stretched over the wooden frame so that it is as tight as a drum. Small nails or staples put down using a staple gun are used to hold the fabric fastened onto the frame. Priming is the first or preliminary coat of paint or size applied to a surface, making it ready for printing. So priming is key for a canvas. Priming stabilizes the surface and reduces its absorbency. The type of priming will depend on the painting media to be used. Sizing is any glutinous material used to fill pores in surfaces or to stiffen fabrics. Sizing is very important if oil paints are to be used. The sizing prevents the oil paints from penetrating to the fabrics and destroying them. Animal glue or gelatin is used for sizing. There are different types of grounds. A ground is now a surface which has been sized and primed. We have colored grounds. Some artists prefer to use colored grounds for painting. Colors are added to the primer instead of just using a white primer. Tinted grounds. Tinting is the process of adding just a tinge of color. A tinted ground contains some color and a white or high proportion of white pigment. Glazed grounds are considered to make a ground more permanent. After a white primer has been applied, a thin transparent layer of pure color is mixed with the medium and spread over the white ground. Double grounds are created on a surface by spreading a thin layer of tinted priming over a colored ground so that it appears patchy. Double grounds are used to play off warm against cool or light against dark colors. Tinted, colored, glazed, and double grounds are used for various painting techniques. Some of these grounds make it easier to handle the background of the subject, and some highlight the colors that are being used. Techniques and processes of painting. There's a washout technique. Washing out technique is a painting style where a large area is painted using a huge brush and a lot of thinner or water. Large areas such as landscapes, hills, and skies that form the background of a painting can be painted with this technique. There are two types of washes: a graded wash or a flat wash, that can be created by either painting wet paint onto wet paint on the technique called wet on wet, or wet paint on dry paint on a technique called wet on dry. In the brush stroke technique, paint is mixed on a palette without adding any thinner onto it, so that it leaves distinct brush strokes of the brush on the surface, which are called strokes. This technique is used to create textural patterns. The palette knife technique is where a palette knife is used to pick up paint and apply it on a canvas. It is a spatula used by artists for mixing or applying or scraping off oil paints. The paint is in thick form, and then the palette knife picks it up and applies it on the canvas. Palette knife technique does not define form well. Resist technique is done by applying wax crayons very heavily on paper and then applying diluted watercolor washes over the paper surface. The waxed areas will resist the watercolor, while the unwaxed areas will absorb the paint. In dry pigment technique, dry pigment is used in the painting. For example, pastels can be used to create a painting. In mixed media technique, any one or two of these techniques are combined together.